Hello everyone, in this video, I'll be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Moeed Pirzada to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let's go through the key developments and insights in Moeed Pirzada's words. So first, I want to inform you that on the 19th, if any of you are near Chevy Chase in Washington, D.C., an intellectual from India, once right of centre in Indian politics and close to BJP and RSS, but now their biggest critic, Sudhendra Kulkarni. Sudhendra Kulkarni is the person who in 2006 or 2007 invited the former Pakistan Foreign Minister Kasuri Sahib to the Observer Research Foundation, a think tank. During the book launch and inauguration, RSS thugs blackened his face. Sudhendra Kulkarni was sitting with that blackened face, and he made a statement about what RSS did to him, and he inaugurated Kasuri Sahib's book. It was a very historical event. Sudhendra Kulkarni is here in DC, and tomorrow I am moderating a dialogue between Dr. Hussain Nadeem and Sudhendra Kulkarni from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. The venue is Chevy Chase. I'm not showing the address on screen yet because there are only 30 seats available and already 15 to 20 people have confirmed. If you are in Chevy Chase, DC, Maryland or Virginia and interested, you can email me with your name, American phone number, email, and any affiliation you have with a university, college, office or organization. I will confirm based on seat availability. We want a serious discussion with relevant people who have interest in this topic, not irrelevant ones. Indian origin people in the Indian American community nearby are most welcome. I will share the full details and address once you email me if interested. The event is at a public library, and I will share the address accordingly. Now, moving on to one of the most interesting developments I mentioned 2 days ago in my vlog, how the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered heavy airstrikes on the military headquarters of Syria, also known as Mashrek, similar to our GHQ targeting the Ministry of Defense. This was broadcast live, and since then Israel has faced much backlash. There is much debate about this, and America is not at all happy about what I'm going to explain further. A day earlier, Netanyahu gave an explanation in Hebrew. He said he wants to explain why Israel attacked Syria and defended the creation of a demilitarized zone between the Israeli border and Damascus in southwestern Syria. He mentioned Moafak Tarif, a Druze leader in Israel, who messaged him requesting help because when the Jews faced the Holocaust, no country saved them. Now the Druze are facing existential threats in Syria and want Israel's help. Therefore, Israel has established this demilitarized zone and hit the Syrian government forces because they violated it. And Israel will continue to enforce this zone. American analysts, congressmen and the government do not support this move. Western analysts oppose it as well. Muslims are not considered relevant in this context. The general opinion is that Israel wants to keep Syria weak, uncertain, divided, and prevent a strong central government from forming inside Syria. The Druze are used as an excuse. Historically, Druze were Muslims, specifically Shia Ismailis, but later left Islam and don't consider themselves Muslims. The Muslim community in the Middle East also does not recognize them as Muslims. This is a tool in Netanyahu's hands. Now, an analysis appeared in the American magazine The Atlantic explaining how American and Israeli strategic interests in Syria are at cross purposes. America wants a stable central government in Syria, while Netanyahu wants Syria to remain divided and weak, with no strong central government. David Wilson, known for drafting the Pakistan Democracy Act in Congress, criticized Netanyahu's actions, calling it suicide for Israel and an insult to former President Donald Trump, who had removed sanctions on the Assad government, aiming for a stable Syria. Now, many people comment that Pakistani Muslims tend to view everything through a religious lens and see the conflict in Syria as an internal Sunni jihadist struggle. They ignore international relations, which are more complicated than medicine, engineering or IT studies because those fields have less fraud, while this whole subject is based on deception. It requires 20 to 30 years of study to understand. It cannot be understood just by reading newspapers. Let me make it very clear. What happened in Syria was done jointly by America and the Zionist lobby, aiming to keep a weak government that serves their interests. Israel was the biggest player with America to remove Bashar al-Assad's government. There is evidence that Assad was a potential reformer, but he was never given a real chance for political reform inside Syria. The purpose was to remove Iran's ally that operates against American and Israeli interests. Currently, the plan is to keep Syria weak, unstable and divided, preventing a strong central government. The Zionist lobby is more powerful than any American president in this matter. But I think this situation won't last long because American politics is undergoing many changes. So India's largest strategy seems to be to weaken Pakistan's centre, so that there are emergencies, disunity, fights and worsening conditions in Baluchistan. Recently, the BLA and BLF attacked a bus, which the Pakistani government calls Indian-sponsored terrorism. Similar situations exist in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's Arshad Fatah areas. If these situations continue without change, Pakistan's centre's ability to govern its periphery, far from Punjab and Islamabad, will become extremely weak. This is very important to keep in mind. Another development in the last 24 hours, unknown to me last week, is that the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the US government have declared the Resistance Front, or TRF, in Kashmir, accused of the Pulwama attack, where 26 people were killed, as a foreign terrorist organization under US law. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar welcomed this and said it affirms the special relationship between India and the United States. I will show you his tweet. Pakistan's Foreign Office rejected this as bogus, saying TRF is just an extension of Lashkar-e-Taiba, which is banned and whose leaders have been sentenced. Indian analysts say Hafiz Saeed is not even in jail but roaming freely. In real terms, the US declaring TRF and FTO is not a big deal, but more of a sweetener in trade deals that America wants to make with India. America is pushing India to open its market for auto mills, auto parts, defense equipment and agriculture. This sweetener given to the Modi government will not have a big impact in the region. The real goal is a larger South Asia Indo-Pak deal, with President Donald Trump wanting to be a peacemaker between India and Pakistan. Trump wants Pakistan to accept the line of control as a proper border, including Gilgit-Baltistan and Azad Kashmir, which India would absorb, similar to how Article 370 was abrogated and India moved in that direction. There are reports from inside Pakistan, like Azad Syed saying Asif Ali Zardari will be removed or forced out as president, and General Asim Munir will become president. From Washington's perspective, General Asim Munir is being embraced warmly, but may be made a sacrificial lamb for Trump's strategic requirements. She wants to get the decisions made, for which Asim Munir becoming president will be necessary. Now, when Ajaz Syed claimed that the Pakistani Hafiz Zardari will be removed and Asim Ali will become president, after that, there were many denials from the government side. Many people think the story is completely bogus, but if you look carefully at the story and sync it with all the circumstances, you realize there is a lot of logic in it. And in the last 24 hours, there has been a very interesting development in this regard. When Mohsin Naqvi had a private meeting with, I think, less than a dozen journalists, he was asked whether Asif Ali Zardari will complete his term or not. He said yes, if health permits, definitely President Asif Ali Zardari will complete his term. And you know Mohsin Naqvi is closer to Rawalpindi, less close to Zardari, or there is a split between the two, so this is very important. He said that if health permits. Anyway, Asif Ali Zardari's health is not good and it could deteriorate any time. So, the real issue for General Asim Munir will be this challenge. In Pakistan, there is a common perception that whenever an army chief takes off his uniform and only wears a suit, he becomes weak. People often cite General Musharraf as an example. How in December 2007, under American pressure, when he took off the uniform, he became a lame duck, a completely weak leader, and within a few months, Nawaz Sharif and Asif Ali Zardari marginalized him, and he had no authority left. This is a common example given. In contrast, General Ayub took off his uniform much earlier and appointed General Musa as full commander-in-chief, I think in early 60s, late 59. But he remained in power until 1969, several years after. Later, there was a large movement by students, workers and labourers against him. Then General Ayub handed over power to General Yahya. So this is one example. Another example is Egypt, where General Sisi became president and still has complete control over the army. In Pakistan, where two-thirds majority in parliament currently is basically in the hands of the establishment of the generals, a new formula could be created. It is possible that General Asim Munir could become president while still in uniform. Who will stop him? Now there is no one left. There is neither the Supreme Court nor anyone else, no political party, no opposition. So who will block the way? Therefore, the possibility that General Asim Munir could become president cannot be ruled out. I am not saying he will definitely become president. Obviously, there are many obstacles in his path. The biggest fear will be his own. What do the Americans want him to do? Donald Trump wants three things done: resolve the Kashmir issue so he can claim he brought peace, and Pakistan accepts it. And I think only the military lobby is blocking this path in Pakistan. Otherwise, very few people here are interested. It is not a big issue for most. The Abraham Accords, Significant progress has been mentally made on this. People say the Foreign Office will not accept it, etc. But I think if conditions improve in the eastern neighbourhood, supporting the Abraham Accords and Saudi Arabia will not be very difficult for Pakistan, especially if the OIC passes a resolution and Saudi Arabia, which has a lot of influence over the Organisation of Islamic Countries, backs it. Pakistan could become part of it. The most difficult thing Trump and the Americans expect from General Asim Munir, and it will be very hard for him to deliver, and perhaps he will not want to, is to pull back from China. Recently, in the 4-day India-Pakistan conflict, China stood firmly with Pakistan. Satellite communications, weapons systems, missiles, ships. This conflict also proved Chinese technology rivals or competes with American or Western technology. So General Asim Munir himself may not want to retreat from China, and even if he does, the military leadership behind him will not want to back off from China at this stage. This will be a very difficult situation for him. Now, regarding the Abraham Accords, there was a story and analysis in an American publication called Axios. It states that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has been pressuring America continuously to implement Donald Trump's March Rivera plan for Gaza. The plan aims to forcibly induce many Palestinians, if not all, to move out of Gaza with inducements via a carrot and stick policy. About 2 million Palestinians are to be relocated from Gaza to 3 countries identified for this purpose: Libya, Ethiopia, an African country, and Indonesia. Why these 3 countries? A few weeks ago, David Barnea, head of Israel's external intelligence agency Mossad, was tasked by Netanyahu to find countries willing to accept these Palestinians. Apparently, these 3 countries are the ones ready. Libya, where Gaddafi once ruled, Indonesia and Ethiopia want something from the Americans and are ready to accept this in exchange for concessions or aid. Netanyahu met Donald Trump about a week or week and a half ago and requested that Trump not say no to this plan, and that America offer some sweeteners or concessions to these countries to make them accept it. Trump's Rivera plan was initially very enthusiastically announced, but later cooled down because of resistance from Arab countries. However, well-placed diplomats in Washington who remain unnamed told me in confidence that Arabs say one thing publicly, but will not take a strong stand against it. If a plan that convinces Palestinians to be displaced from Gaza comes up, Arabs may not object strongly or may accept it. Now, what is the current situation in Gaza? Every day, if you watch the news, there's hardly a day when you don't hear that 50 to 100 people have been hit by Israeli air defenses or military action. Sometimes something happens, sometimes not, but it's a pattern of terror designed to create a psychological climate making people feel living there is unsafe. Under these circumstances, a psychological atmosphere is created where people would want to move out if given a safe place, like in Ethiopia or Libya, a good home or some support. This somewhat explains the relentless Israeli activity, which even Israeli historians and intellectuals now categorize as genocide. Israelis conclude the purpose is to create such fear that people get ready to leave. Now, increasingly, news from American sources quoting Indian sources say that India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau initially said that the pilot's fuel switch was off, but didn't say who turned it off. Now, American sources claim that the senior pilot, Sumit Sabharwal, turned off the fuel switch. When asked why, the pilot, Clive Kundar, reportedly questioned him. India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau says speculation is not appropriate and a full report will take about a year. But, many think the senior pilot was depressed, having suffered the loss of his parents and might have committed suicide, or what some call mass suicide. I had claimed that Indians and Pakistanis don't suffer such depression, but many psychiatrists wrote to me saying this kind of depression does occur. This is a disease pattern. 2 interesting conclusions emerge. Pilot scrutiny will increase greatly, and airlines always unite against pilots. The Pilot Association says airlines always come together against pilots. If there is a defect in Boeing's switch, it may not be properly scrutinized. For example, back in 2018, the FAA said so. This could remain undiscovered, a big danger threatening all passengers. Another aspect is that airlines may reduce pilots' authority, empower airlines more, and increase the connection with the ground control of the plane. Airlines may find solutions to this, but, one should really ask. Worldwide dictators and psychopaths with troubled minds are visible in India, Pakistan, and elsewhere. To help you, the Cultural Revolution of Mao Zedong led to the deaths of countless millions of Chinese, and honestly, many things never recovered. Stalin had similar experiments. North Korea shows what happens under such regimes. In India, religious hatred has been created for political purposes, and in Pakistan, dramas are played in the name of national security. All psychopathology. Due to the pilot's psychopathology, 260 people died. Entire nations, millions, even hundreds of millions of lives are at risk. There is totally insufficient debate on what the solution should be. The solution is democracy, but what exactly that should be, we will try to discuss on July 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. at Shavi Chess. Email me at moheet.pirda@gmail.com if interested. We have limited seating. Now, many complain that I don't talk about Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf or PTI. I will show you three things: PTI's official YouTube channel, PTI's Twitter handle, and Imran Khan's Twitter handle on the screen. In the last 48 hours, there is no new development news there. I cannot create news myself. People totally fabricate stories saying this was told, that was told, and so on. But I want you to get actual news from actual sources. No new progress has been seen. Old things are being repeated. They say that some leader like Sheikh Waqas Akram or Salman Akram Raja gave a very strong speech threatening the military establishment. On the other hand, when Mohsin Naqvi was asked in a press talk about PTI's protest rally on August 5th and the government's preparations, he said, "When any plan comes before us, we will prepare on how to deal with it." That wraps up our translation of Moeed Pirzada's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.